So we're at my house for today's video, and we're definitely doing something a little different, and that's because as a PC building YouTuber that's been doing this for a long time, some of the PCs in my house are very embarrassing.
Embarrassing!
Yes, I do have my 12700K and XTX build over there, and we just built my wife a very nice ITX build inside the Fractal Design Terra. But the PCs that do the majority of the work behind the scenes are ugly and they have like no performance whatsoever. So today we're gonna completely overhaul the PCs in my house, and I'm gonna take you guys with me. I hope you enjoy this.
Today's video is sponsored by GVG Mall, and you probably already know that I've been using them for so long to activate Windows on a ton of my own builds. They're actually running a huge sale right now, which boosts my normal 18% discount up to 25% off if you use code ZTT18, and I'll have that linked at the top of the description. They not only have Windows keys, but also a ton of other stuff such as Office, and even game keys for platforms like Steam, Origin, and Uplay, and they even have console stuff too, like PSN prepaid cards as well. Activating Windows is super simple and only takes like 3 minutes total, so activate Windows today and remove that nasty watermark, and don't forget to use ZTT18 for 25% off.
One of the main priorities is fixing this PC here. So this is my server rack, as some of you guys know, and one of these computers in here is my home theater PC setup. I also run it as a home server for running Plex and whatnot, but one of my latest phases is I want to do some VR gaming, and this PC doesn't have enough performance for proper VR gaming. Now, the best I can fit right now inside this 2U server is just an RTX 4060 low profile, since that's the best low profile card, and I have like multiple 4080 Supers just sitting around at the studio that I want to throw in here, but in order for them to fit, I need to upgrade to a 4U server. And I do have a 4U server case, but guess where that is right now? It's over here, and oh my God, it's my streaming PC. This is the only 4U case that I have, and as you can probably tell, this very well might be the ugliest PC that you've ever seen on YouTube.
Brother, what's that?
I was using this in the server rack a long time ago, and I eventually just converted it into my streaming PC. We run a Thirsty Thursday stream every single Thursday where I build a high quality production stream about me building a PC, and it's all from this very ugly PC. So in order for us to upgrade the home theater PC and use this case for it, I first have to case swap my streaming PC just so I can take care of the home theater PC. So we're gonna take everything out of here and hope for the best. So we have a Ryzen 7 1700X, 32 gigs of DDR4, and my GPU in here is just an RTX 3050 6GB card. We made the video a while ago about the 3050 6GB launch. The card is just really, really bad. Like, I'm not gonna put it in a build guide video. I figured the best use case for it would just be a streaming PC. Whenever you run a dual streaming PC setup, you don't need a ton of GPU processing power because all of my gaming is done on my main PC. One of the other things we're gonna upgrade while we are here is the capture card. I've run into yet a different problem because both of these capture cards cannot do 4K pass-through above 60 Hertz. I have my Asus ROG Swift monitor, and it's a 4K 240 Hertz monitor. I can't even use it to its full potential because the pass-through of these capture cards is so low. That's why we're gonna put in this new one from AverMedia. And also, one of the other reasons why I only have an RTX 3050 in my server PC is because this is a pretty high quality Be Quiet Pure Power 11, I think it is. And I actually lost the cables for the 6+2 connectors for the GPU, so I could only use something like a 3050 that doesn't require any external power. The streaming PC is definitely just a culmination of spare parts and making things work with what you got. Now we're gonna take out the motherboard, and we're also going to address today a storage issue. As the streaming PC, not only are we streaming live, but I'm also doing a backup local recording. 3 and 4 hour live streams definitely pile up on the storage, and as of right now I only have a single 250 gigabyte NVMe drive in here, so we're just gonna put in a 1 terabyte WD Blue. Motherboard is going out. You can see how ugly this is, very dusty. This does free up our 4U server. So I'm gonna do some cleanup before this goes into the server rack. We'll eventually case swap that PC over to this case, and I think I can fit in an RTX 4080 Super in here, but we'll find that out. So far, mission 1 is complete. So here is the case that we are going to swap the streaming PC into, and I specifically chose a white one because at least our motherboard is white and the GPU is kind of black and white, so the aesthetics will look a little bit better here. But more importantly, this is the Antec C3 ARGB. This is sponsored by Antec. This is actually an affordable fish tank design, which you guys know I definitely like. It comes with 4 pre-installed ARGB fans, and overall this looks really, really nice, and it's a visual upgrade for sure over the 4U server rack case. So we're gonna install everything into this, and hopefully this doesn't take too long. One of the other things we're gonna do is we're gonna swap out this CPU cooler. Now, the Ryzen 7 1700X does need a beefy CPU cooler, but we're not really pushing the CPU just for a streaming PC. So I think we can get away with using one of the smaller Wraith Spire coolers, or Wraith Stealth coolers. And this is the last one that we have painted here. I obviously wouldn't put it on here if this was like a true gaming PC, but for a streaming PC, I think we'll be perfectly fine, but we'll run the temperatures to check. Now we're gonna remove that CPU cooler. This thermal paste has probably not been reapplied for 4, maybe 5 years at this point, like whenever the 1700X came out. This is an X370 motherboard, so this could be a pretty banged up thermal paste job underneath here. Here we go. Oh, that actually doesn't look terrible. All right, that'll work. We're definitely gonna clean that all up though. This is the size difference between the original cooler from 1st gen Ryzen all the way to 5000 series Ryzen. So they got a little bit more efficient. That's installed. Now, while we're here, we might as well address the ugly RAM situation. These came from like a super old server that I was using, DDR4 2400 megahertz, pretty much the lowest that DDR4 goes. So we're gonna swap those out with a 4x8 gigabyte kit of the typical black YOLO RAM, and 32 gigs at 2400 megahertz is perfectly fine. We gotta have at least some aesthetic standards here at ZTT. All right, boom, that looks so much better. 37 zip ties in. Now, one thing I do really like about this Antec C3 ARGB is Antec had the attention to detail to actually paint the USB-C, HD audio, the USB 3.0, and the front connector ports. Almost no case does this. On an all-white PC, this is much appreciated. Lately, I have been investing a little bit more time into my cable management. I've been building a PC almost every single day for ZTTbuilds.com. And obviously when we're selling to customers, we wanna put on a good show and like have a good presentation. All right, that's actually not looking too terrible. There's also the ARGB port for this. You could connect all of these fans up to an ARGB port on your motherboard. I don't know if our motherboard even has 3-pin ARGB. Back in the X370 days, it doesn't look like it was. But we'll be able to use an adapter for that, but we definitely want to plug in the PWM. Now, we also do not have cable extensions. I definitely would have liked to get some white cable extensions, and I was actually toying around with red cable extensions, but I ended up not using them because A, it's just gonna lead to unnecessary frustrations in the cable management, and it's a PC that like I don't even show off, but B, our graphics card, again, is that 3050 that doesn't require external power from the power supply. And it's kind of weird to use cable extensions in just the 24-pin and the 8-pin instead of having them come up to the GPU as well. So that would probably be a waste. Probably should have unplugged some of these. Honestly, we only need one of these too. Yeah, I'm gonna remove this one too. So because we don't have the 3-pin ARGB connector, this is exactly why I have this bag. So this is one of those SATA to 3-pin ARGB adapters. So instead of plugging into the motherboard, you can just plug it into SATA power. You obviously have to open up the back side of the case, which is kind of annoying, but it beats not having control of the ARGBs. And it actually makes it easier for filming video too, so we don't have to like plug it into Windows every time. We got a lot of devices here to plug in. So we're definitely using the 3050. We're definitely using this AverMedia. This is the AverMedia Duo. I really like this capture card because it has HDMI in and out for a monitor, but it also has a secondary HDMI in for your camera webcam. We're gonna replace this in and out AverMedia, I guess. So these are the 3 devices that are gonna plug into here. And again, this is the 4K, which is gonna allow me to actually utilize my 4K monitor. This is an X4, but you can plug X4s and X1s and everything into an X16 slot. Just make sure you screw it down because you're not relying on the PCIe clip. So having all of these capture cards is definitely a reason why I recommend going with an ATX size case and motherboard. For a streaming PC, with a micro ATX motherboard, I wouldn't be able to fit all of these capture cards in here. Here goes our trusty RTX 3050. It's looking pretty good. No GPU power cable to plug in. All right. So I'm gonna put this back panel on, or actually we should test it. Let's test it first, just to make sure that all the fans are spinning, make sure no smoke comes out, no balls of fire anywhere. Oh, let's go. 4 fans spinning, CPU fans spinning. I think we're good. Also got a little bit of RGB touch here on the C3 ARGB. I didn't even realize that. I don't even need to pretend that I'm not applying a lot of pressure here. The cable management was good enough that nice and flush back here. No serious warping. There we go. All right, so we made some serious upgrades aesthetically to the streaming PC. Oh, I forgot one thing. My SSD. I never put this in. I was gonna wrap this up. We gotta do this part too. It's always as soon as you install the side panel, that's when you realize what you messed up. I think we have one extra SATA power cable that will work perfectly for this. I'm also just now realizing that the accessories for the case are still in here. We probably don't wanna run the, I feel like this comes out a better way than brute force. Yeah. That was not the way. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Fine. This is, yep, see, perfect. Plug in our SATA SSD, and that is just gonna hide in there. And actually, let's adjust those RGBs too while we have the case panel open. I kind of forgot to do that as well. I'm kind of digging the all white. So now that the streaming PC aesthetics are fully taken care of, I have to put this to the test because when we case swap from the 2U case to the 4U case that this PC was inside of for the home theater PC, I'm gonna be doing that during a Thirsty Thursday live stream. We're recording this on Wednesday, so that means I need to get this PC 100% good to go for tomorrow's streams.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live!
I'm gonna show you guys all of those upgrades and the case swapping on that stream. Hopefully that stream goes well. We're about to find out.
So here is what we are doing today. What we are going to upgrade that 4060 to is none other than the ugliest graphics card on the entire planet, the MSI Expert 4080 Super. But the problem is if we're gonna add a 4080 Super, we also have to add a few other components. We definitely cannot pair a 10400 with a 4080 Super. So we need to upgrade the CPU. What are we going with? The i5 13600K. If you use an Intel CPU that has integrated graphics built into it for Plex. Plex is the media server that you host so you can like watch your movies anywhere. It does the transcoding on your movies way better than AMD. That means we obviously need a different motherboard as well. This is the motherboard we're going with. The MSI Pro Z790-S Wi-Fi, because we're upgrading to DDR5. We need more RAM because our 10400F has DDR4. This is a little overkill. This is the G.Skill Trident Z5. It's a 32 gigabyte DDR5 kit at 7200 megahertz. We are definitely not clocking this bad boy up to 7200 megahertz for my Plex server. We do not need that, but this is what we had in the inventory. We also need a new cooler. We got the Noctua NHL965. I wasn't exactly sure what height our 4U case could handle. This definitely could not handle like heavy CPU stress testing with an overclocked 13600K. 13600K gets pretty hot. But for my use case, this will definitely be plenty. Just to help with those temperatures a little bit, we also got one of these little contact frames. This actually will decrease temperatures by about a solid 5 to 7 degrees. This is some of the best cooling you can get for $10. That's incredible, incredible value. And we will definitely need that because we're putting this build in a server rack. We also got some extra fans to replace the crazy Molex fans that are in that case. For the power supply, this is the Enermax Revolution DFX 850. It's got the PCIe 5.0, ATX 3.0, which is what we need for our 4080 Super. 850 watts is definitely enough. And then finally, for the SSD, this is the crucial T705, literally one of the fastest Gen 5 SSDs on the market. This isn't the best idea because our Z790 motherboard only supports up to Gen 4 SSDs. We will be capped at Gen 4 speeds, but the reason we're using this is because I already have it. The only thing we're actually swapping from the current 2U server to this one is the SSD, because I'm going to keep the Windows installation. We're just using this Gen 5 drive as a secondary 2 terabyte drive, because the last reason for this new server is I want it to be a Steam remote play server. We have officially accomplished our mission here. This is the new home theater PC.
So after the Thirsty Thursday Twitch live stream, here's how the PC turned out, and honestly, this is looking pretty solid. Everyone kept commenting on the stream how it's so perfect that we're putting an ugly RTX 4080 Super inside an ugly looking case, but we're never gonna see it.
Get that ugly 4080 Super in that ugly case. Exactly. He actually typed that before I said it.
So the final thing to do was to remove the old server from my server rack with the 10400F and the RTX 4060. Here's a quick size comparison and just how massive the 4U case is. So then I installed this big boy into the rack. Of course, some of the cables in the back gave me some issues, but I got it in there nonetheless. I held my breath, and thankfully the PC booted up perfectly fine on the first start. I got the RAM XMP settings configured, so we did actually get up to that 7200 megahertz easily without any sort of tinkering. And yeah, it's great that this 4U case is now filling up every U of my server rack with nothing to spare. I honestly probably should lower this massive 4U server below my other 2U server because it looks a little funky being up here, but we'll save that for another home project video. Next up, I wanted to make sure that everything was running properly with this new GPU and hardware, and I first fired up my Plex server. This is essentially my own Netflix where I'm hosting my own TV and movies, and with the integrated GPU on the new 13600K CPU, this will transcode super efficiently, and everything worked out great. I then tested running some games natively on here because, again, this is connected to my projector, so this is the PC that powers my relaxing couch gaming as well as watching movies and sports. Both Diablo 4 and Forza ran so well on here, and we're obviously fully saturating my super cheap 1080p 60Hz projector. One of the other motivations for this upgrade is because I do plan on upgrading this projector to a probably 4K one here soon. Now I know I have the power to do that and we'll be ready to go. And finally, the last thing to test out was the remote gaming server using Steam's Remote Play native feature. I want to use this for two different reasons. The first one being able to play on handheld devices like this one that don't have the power to natively run the titles. This Diablo 4 and Forza aren't actually being rendered on the device itself, but instead it's being rendered on my home theater PC, and then the display is being sent over my Wi-Fi connection to this device. If you have a high-end networking setup and the host PC connected to Ethernet, the lag is very minimal and you can enjoy gaming like this around your house pretty well. I wouldn't recommend trying to play Counter-Strike or anything on here, but for a relaxed gaming session, it's perfect. The Steam Remote Play also works great if the target PC is outside your network as well. Over in my work setup at my office, which is about a 10-minute drive from my house, the only PC that I use on a daily basis is my MacBook Pro. This thing is pretty powerful with the M2 Pro chip, but there are so many games that just aren't compatible with Mac OS.
Diablo 4 is not available on my Apple computer. Let those of us who use our Apples to play.
Now I can just run Steam natively on the MacBook, but choose to stream the games that are installed at home on the new PC. Again, here's Diablo because that's the game I'm currently addicted to, and this thing is running blazing fast and would otherwise be impossible to run with this MacBook. Now you can see a little bit of a low bitrate issue, and it's not crystal clear, but that's the sacrifice I'm willing to make considering that this is playing in a completely different house across town where I'm at. And I also didn't just do all of this work just so I could game at the the office, although that is a big benefit, especially if I have like 10 minutes to kill while I'm here on the weekend or something. Overall, this entire upgrading process was extremely worth it, and we got a lot done here. My streaming PC is now looking somewhat respectable thanks to my Antec C3 case swap and the use of some more aesthetic components. This freed up my 4U case, which allowed me to do a massive upgrade on my home theater and home gaming setup. I'm now fully prepared to take my VR gaming to the next level whenever I want to explore that, and this PC will also be able to game smoothly on a 4K projector whenever I get the hookup on one of those. Hopefully you all enjoyed this very different style of video, and if you didn't, then feel free to click the video that's on the screen now, but let me know down in the comment section either way.